Welcome back to episode number 6 of the Boxing Junkies Podcast. My name is Sherry Abassi. I'm your host, and once again, I'm joined by my co-host, Harris. Harris, how you doing, bro? You okay?
I'm doing great, bro. How are you?
Yeah, man, I'm all good. Fresh off the action last night. I didn't actually stay up for Mike Tyson and Roy Jones. Did you catch that?
I didn't either.
Yeah, nah, fine. That's fine. We're not going to go into that one. Fair play to them both, making a couple of million, but apart from that, there's not much to touch on, really. I think the main...
I was happy that when I woke up and checked my phone that I didn't see Roy face first. I saw that basketballer instead. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah,
because when I woke up, I was surprised how I couldn't see anything about the fight online. I was like, why is no one talking about the fight? So I thought, you know what? It probably just went like a boring fight or something, nothing much to talk about. So when I really found the highlights, it was just that, right? Good draw. They were all talking after. It was the best thing that could have happened.
Best outcome,
I didn't watch it because I was scared just for Roy Jones' sake, to be honest.
Yeah, especially because he got knocked out a few times toward the back end as well.
Yeah, obviously, that's why even after the fight when Mike Tyson was like, why are you asking about Roy? It's like, bro, we've seen Roy get sparkled.
Yeah, that's why we're worried about him.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. So like I said, let's try and keep that to a minimal. Let's move straight into the actual fight yesterday. That was the talk of the town for the last few weeks. I mean, the fight was due to take place in April initially at the O2. You know, it would have been a big fight, big sold-out arena at the O2. But naturally, the way this year's gone, it's all been a bit up and down, hasn't it? And it's been postponed a few times. But finally, yesterday, we got the fight for the European British title as well. Dubois versus Joyce. For me, I'm not sure about yourself, but for me, I was pretty adamant that it was going to be a Dubois knockout. You know, from the day the fight was made, I just had a feeling that Dubois would be, hit too hard, and Joyce is very hittable. And of course, those things did come into play. Obviously, Dubois hit him and he landed plenty on him. But Joyce just went on to show he's got a great chin and he can ride with punches. That comes down to experience, and I think a key factor for this fight, going into it and naturally on the night as well, experience being the key word. The lack of experience in big fights for Daniel Dubois, and then the wealth of experience that someone like Joe Joyce has. Is obviously 35 years old. He's been around the amateur ranks for many years. Olympic silver medalist. So this guy's got so much experience. Turned pro, and he's fought some decent names as well in his sort of 12 fight career so far. So experience was obviously a big factor going into it as well. In terms of what actually happened in the ring on the night, I had it scored, by the time the actual stoppage happened, I had it 6-3 to Joyce. A lot of people said that was wide, but I felt throughout the fight, Joyce's jab which is what ultimately caused the injury to Dubois as well. I just felt his jab was just so consistent and he couldn't miss. Part of that is also the fact that Daniel Dubois just couldn't get off the line. He couldn't parry it. He couldn't get off the line for whatever reason. Very, very basic thing he was struggling with. He could not miss with the jab all night. So it's a combination of Dubois not getting out the way and the fact that Joyce was landing with ease. One thing about Joyce, though, he threw so many hooks where you looked like he was going to fall over. He was so slow. That was mad. The right hand started coming into play towards the back end of the fight as well. But again, it never really felt like he hurt Dubois or wobbled him with the right hand. For me, it's work rate with Joyce and consistency. And he just kept doing what he was doing. Distance control, footwork. He just had so many different basic things that worked together on the night that were too much for someone like Dubois to overcome, who is also very, very basic himself. Jab, right hand, like me and you always say, European ABC style, jab, right hand, and he's tried to throw a few bombs here and there, tried to make Joyce uncomfortable in the clinch, throwing punches and stuff. But unfortunately for Dubois, it just wasn't enough on the night, and the experience overcame his sort of, young energy, and he looked a bit, timid to start off and stuff. What were your thoughts on the fight, and did you see it going the way it went, or did this go completely opposite what you predicted to begin with?
What I predicted was it was a bit hard for me to predict. Because when I was predicting, I thought the same as you. Joyce gets hit way too clean. Dubois' power is kind of a very easy choice to make, right? But what I was really shocked by was the size difference. I didn't see that in the head-to-head. I didn't see that in any time they were close together, or the whole thing, the build-up, the presses and everything. So as soon as the fight started, I was really surprised, because when I was thinking of the fight, I wasn't thinking of Dubois having to stay mobile and move and lean back and jab, it's a lot to do for someone who hasn't been used to doing it. And I was really like, whoa, I didn't think of Joyce as that big. I don't know why I didn't. I don't know. I just hadn't thought about it at all. When I seen Joyce fight, yeah, he looked big, but I thought they were both the same size. So I was really took back by how the whole fight started and how Dubois, like you said, it was immediately under pressure, and the thing is, he had to do so much, and I felt like he adjusted decently well. He was like leaning back, and he was basing it on the back foot like he usually does. But usually he stands there and he throws a jab, and he's kind of the aggressor, even if it's slow aggression to start with. And this was really strange because he had to be on game with the feints, and he was basically working at a higher pace than I think he expected himself. Like you said, he did look a bit not shell shocked, but he has that expression anyway. So I didn't want to read into that too much. I thought, because we talk about experience. I don't think that in terms of amateur experience, there's no doubt, and if you want to call it semi-pro with the World Series of Boxing, but in terms of professional experience, I see that Joyce has. I would say that Joyce has had a better CV, right? But I don't think it's like as much as people say. Everything people talk about is Stiverne and Brian Jennings. So if you look at Stiverne and Brian Jennings, and I mean, I get it that it's a bit better than Nathan Gorman. But if Nathan Gorman fought Brian Jennings, I mean, I don't know who's going to win that fight. You know what I'm saying? And that's Joyce's best win, and that's Dubois' best win. But arguably, I would say, yeah, I favor Joyce on that side. But I was taken back by how the fight was playing out, the dynamics of the fight. I didn't really think about it that way. So I was surprised seeing, Dubois under pressure and everything. But I felt like he adjusted decently. But I felt like you said, like the more the fight went on, the more it looked like, for me, I know Joyce did a lot, but I felt like Dubois looked really rusty. Even just and I'm pretty sure obviously that's Joyce making him feel that pressure, but he usually looks more composed. In the Gorman fight was a big built-up fight, like arguably as much as this. Okay, maybe a bit less. Obviously, this is a sterner test, no doubt about it. But at that time, so when I seen him in that fight, I seen he was calm, not even phased. Everyone was talking about his calmness, how he didn't look for his shots, and how he was setting it up, and he looked amazing that fight. So I was really surprised by how sloppy he looked. I felt like he landed some decent shots, but it was more out like he was forcing it a bit. He settled. I felt like it was quite even at a certain point. I felt like, I know, like with the parrying of the jab, it's like sometimes he was doing all right, but it was way too easy, for him to get hit with that jab. And I felt like, he made some decent adjustments. I really like the straight right hands he was landing over the top, ducking under. He was doing really well. And it was like Joyce's work rate. It was like a 2-minute round for Joyce and a 1-minute round for Dubois. You can look at it both ways. So you had it, what, 6-3?
Yeah, I had it 6-3 by the end before the stoppage.
Right, 6-3. Yeah, I think I had maybe Joyce up one round, but there wasn't much in it. I felt like,
yeah, no, definitely it was competitive. This is the thing. Yeah,
I felt like if Dubois just calmed down, I felt like Dubois was a smarter fighter when he was thinking. Right, when he was thinking, he was landing the right shots. He was setting him up well. He was at times moving, making Joyce just keep working, and then just hit him with 1 or 2 shots, and that was his blueprint to win the fight, as he couldn't knock him out, right? But at a certain point, I think it was ninth round, I felt like what's his plan B here? It's like he was definitely too in love with his power, but I still thought that if I had to pick a winner at that time, I thought Dubois was gonna go ahead to win it. Like, I thought Dubois is gonna land better shots. I thought in a couple of rounds, even before, I think it was after Joyce had a couple of good rounds and Dubois came back, I just thought to myself, you know what? I think he's kind of on the adjustment kind of level, like where he rode the storm a bit, and he's kind of, because he was still landing good shots now and again, so he wasn't totally getting dominated, right? I mean, what was Joyce doing was peppering him, feigning him, but I didn't see Joyce like land any right hands. I hardly seen him land a body shot. Jab to the body was decent. He was definitely more busy and with the foot pressure and everything. But at the same time, I felt like Dubois didn't look like a beat person. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
His facial expression is always like that. Even when he's like smashing people, he looks like he just want to go home. So, if it was a different kind of person, I would read into the expression part more. the one thing is though, when his trainer was telling him,
This is the fight game.
this is the fight game, and come on, Dan, like that was when it just hit me. I was like, whoa, what's going on here, right? Like, because before that, if I'm Dubois and I'm Dubois' trainer, I'm just telling him, listen, the guy's jabbing you all the time, yeah. Try to adjust with it, but he's gonna keep peppering you. Just land cleaner shots, like. You know what I mean? You're not gonna start teaching. Obviously, you can tell him, but if he's not parrying and adjusting to the jab, but you did it at points, but not enough, right?
Yeah.
So if he's not doing that, you're not gonna start telling him in the corner. I'm pretty sure he's fucking aware that jab's coming in his face. Like, you know what I mean? So if he's not adjusting to it, I would just tell him, listen, that's what is happening. Just be aware of it. And I'm pretty sure if you are Dubois, you should know that the guy's gonna have an insane work rate, and that's what I'm saying. So I felt like he was aware of it and everything was going right. Because I'm trying to get in his head and think, okay, what is he thinking, right? But when that ninth round happened and his coach said that, I was like, yo, what have they talked about before this? Because why would you say that to him? That's a strange thing. It should be like, yo, come on, this is happening. This is our plan. Like, we knew this was going on. That's what you should have been saying, like, if you were all on the same page. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like he was trying to gearing up, like he was down. And I felt like, you're doing so well in the fight, though. That there was nothing in the, like, for me, obviously,
it's competitive. It was very competitive, exactly, yeah.
It was so close. So, yeah, let's, listen, let me just say what I think about the 10th round, right? Let me give you my point of view. I'm start watching it, and like I told you, I'm just thinking like, yeah, Dubois can win this fight. I'm thinking, yeah, Joyce can win this fight. It's whoever kind of just keeps their momentum, because they both kept having momentum. That's why this fight was so entertaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, you couldn't keep your eye off it. You didn't know what was going to happen. And okay, so the jab lands, right? Obviously, we can already tell his eye is swelling. And obviously it's not a good sign, right? But again, I felt like he was still doing well. I felt like it rattled him a bit, but he still managed to. But I think it was more the pressure, not just the eye, and the pressure rattled him. Plus, the eye is not going to help. But as soon as you took that shot, to have that reaction. So let's say that shot, boom, it hits him. He sees black. There's no like, you take a knee, you try to look, you get up again. The way he reacted, it looked like it was something that he had done before. Like, it looked like, oh, I'm out, and the fact that it was that easy for him to make that decision in that moment, because, you can talk about injuries, but we've seen this a million. I mean, how many fighters have we seen have eye injuries? Okay, so on top of my head, did you watch Josh Taylor Prograis? His eye was shut. Like, it was all black. We're talking about Nonito Donaire against Rigo. Naoya Inoue against Donaire. This is just top of my head. I'm sure that Paulie Malignaggi against Miguel Cotto. He had a broken jaw and a broken orbital bone, right? So when people say that, or it could have been a bad injury and everything, firstly, he doesn't know that in the moment, right? Kell Brook knew that in that moment because he had just had a surgery and his doctor had told him. So that's in his head. Dubois does not know in that moment what it is. And right now, I know people are saying like, oh, it's this. We don't know for sure what it is, because it could just be a swollen eye. I mean, that happened loads of times, right? So we don't know, and he don't know in that moment what the injury is. The fact that it was that easy for him to just no mass it, if that's my fighter, I'll be very, very disappointed. Like, very disappointed. This is boxing. It's not a game. This is boxing. And we've seen numerous champions fight through this. And if he's okay to stand there and have an interview after and look casual about it, I mean, if he was rushed off straight away, I might have a different opinion, But if he's okay to stand there and do an interview, he looked calm. He looked like he was chilled out. And he was like kind of thinking, oh, what just happened? I get he rushed his decision, maybe. For me, that's, you just can't quit like that if you're a fighter. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. I mean, you're entitled to that opinion. Like you said, we've seen plenty of fighters who have gone through that and worse and still, fought on mid to the end, whether they've won or lost.
At least give it an effort. At least like, okay, let me go down. Let me just look at my corner. What's going on right now? All right, cool. Let me just try. There's nothing wrong if he gets pulled out. Just try. And if you keep taking shot, okay, what's going on? You just stiff, pull him out, or just the ref will stop it. It's not a problem. But at least try.
Yeah. I mean, that punch that he caught him with, the final punch, that did look like it was harder than the jabs that were hitting him prior to
Yeah,
that.
I agree.
And I was already bust up at that point. Of course, like you said, Kell Brook had the pre-existing knowledge from his, most recent fight against Golovkin going when Spence, broke his other eye socket. So again, you can say he was more likely to be haunted by those demons, and he's going to react a different way. We can make all sorts of, assumptions and excuses or reasons why, people behave the way they do. The way I look at it is this. Yes, like you said, it was a competitive fight, and it kept swinging different.
There was 2 rounds left. Just think about it.
It kept swinging different ways,
2
right?
rounds left.
It kept swinging
Two
different
rounds.
ways.
All it was 2 rounds left, bro. Like he just had to survive 2 rounds. If he was getting twied, no problem. He wasn't getting twied. There was nothing in it.
Yeah. So for me, it's more about the way I'm looking at it on Twitter and with even just ex-pundits and boxers who are sort of all saying, "Oh, he quit. He did this. He did that." Yes, of course. As boxing fans, we all have to say as well, yeah, Daniel Dubois, he took a knee and he decided he didn't want to continue, or he didn't have any reason to continue. Yeah, that's his choice, his career, his eye, his whatever. Yeah, that's fine. As a boxing fan, we want to see them, give it a go. And yes, of course, if you get stopped, you get stopped. Yeah, we don't want to see them sort of throw in the towel themselves. We want to see the towel thrown in for them to save them, right? Rather than that. But of course, the way I look at it is this: he's 22, 23-year-old young lad. If he felt like there was something wrong, more so than just his eye closed. If when he hit him, if he felt like potentially something, they're saying there's some sort of nerve damage. If he felt some strange sensation that he's never felt before, and he chose, look, I'm not risking it. I don't have an issue with that. I have an issue. Yes, I get the whole, he quit, blah blah. I get that whole narrative and understand that argument. That's fine. I've got no issue with that. But at the same time, he's also still a human being, regardless of the fact that he's a fighter. And he's a young lad. He's got to think about his future in terms of boxing as well. You know what I mean? If that, hypothetically speaking,
a fighter doesn't think like that.
No. But this is the thing. What I'm saying is, clearly they do, and he's not the only fighter that's ever, sat down.
Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time. That's a question for time. Because it depends how he comes back.
Yeah. Of course. Now the story is about how he comes back.
And if he takes shots and he has a war and he doesn't quit, then you know what? It was a strange feeling for him and everything. But listen, nerve damage. I mean, what does that mean? He stood there and had an interview right after he was fine. Like I said, what nerve damage is this? Like,
yeah, but but if he's getting hit on it and then you're feeling some sort of sensation in that moment.
He took one shot on it.
No.
He took one proper shot on it.
No, that's in that moment. At the moment of the stoppage, we saw him get hit with one big left jab, which looked obviously hard, yeah. But throughout the fight, from round one, he's getting peppered non-stop, yeah. So obviously it's an accumulation thing as well, isn't it? Yeah.
He's peppered. I mean, there was not. I don't think he got hit with 4 hard shots the whole fight. Like 4 power shots. I don't think he got hit with 4 power shots all fight.
Bear in mind how big Joyce is as well. His jabs ain't gonna be soft, yeah.
I know, but have you seen his punching technique? I mean, have you seen his right hand? There's not a lot of power in his shot.
That's what I'm saying. He started putting combinations together towards the end, but they weren't big right hands. You know what I mean?
Because he's not a power puncher. Decent. He rotates into the hooks, but if you see the way he throws the straight rights, he's literally elbow punching it, like slapping it downwards.
Yeah, it's not a big punch.
The jabs are sometimes decent enough, but the straight rights are awful.
Yeah. That's the thing with Joyce. Everything he does, it doesn't look right, or he looks very deceiving in terms of how effective he is. Right? He doesn't look as effective as he actually is. But again, for Dubois, look, like I said, he's 22, 23 years old. He's a young lad. Now it's about the rebuilding where they go from there. Potentially the corner should have had a bit more savvy and pulled him out. And
I just think he quit too quick, though. He just quit too quick.
Yeah. I mean, again.
No, but like we've seen boxing, we've seen fighters get injured, we've seen them try. Every time, there's never a fighter who just sits there and just goes on his knee. I mean, Kell Brook kept trying to get Spence. He kept trying and kept trying. He didn't just take. The thing is, it wasn't just one. Okay, so Kell Brook against Spence, right? As an example, he didn't just take one shot and think, "Oh, this is too much." Like it was going on for rounds and rounds and rounds, and it was getting to the point where he was losing the fight clearly, right? You look at Joshua against Ruiz. How many people said Joshua quit? I never think Joshua quit because did you see his reaction to the ref? If you look at that interaction, it clearly looks like he's upset with the referee, and he was talking to the referee, and he said kept fine. Now his body language is all fucked, and that's a mistake from his part. But it still looked like to me that he was like, "Yo, what's going on? I want to fight." Dubois, he took one jab on it, dabbed his eye, then he just took a knee and waited for the ref to count and got up. You got to understand, if you look at that whole situation, it's one of the most strange, the most cowardly thing I've ever seen in the ring. honestly, it's insane. Like the way he just turned around and sat there and took a knee. It was crazy. And then he, like I said, he stood there and had an interview after. He didn't even look that bothered. Even after the fight, he stood there. They're announcing it. Like I said, if he stood there and he had a massive pain and he goes to, yo, I gotta get out of the ring. You know, people talking about nerve damage. He was fine. He stood in the ring talking around and he was like, oh, whatever. Yeah, Joe done well. And even like, forget the post-fight interview. In the ring, he was stood there talking, touching him up, talking to his corner. He wasn't even bothered. And his corner was like, oh, you know what I mean? I mean, nerve damage. If you have nerve damage and you can't, I mean, you're in a really bad shape. Jerry McLennan, that was crazy. It's clear to see the man was distressed. Now people are saying, oh, he saved himself from an injury. Please tell me, did Naoya Inoue fight this year? Okay. Did Nonito Donaire, was he supposed to fight this year? Okay. All these fighters keep fighting. Paulie Malignaggi had like a 12-year career after that. So why are we thinking that all of a sudden these fighters have gone through these injuries and they kept fighting? So, but Daniel Dubois' face was going to break after this one time. I mean, Kell Brook fought Golovkin. Let's not compare that to other people's situations. Like, you know what I mean? So I just think that how can we predict that his career was going to be finished just because of that eye injury? I mean, that's just what have we got to base that on when we've seen other fighters go on and have longer careers and fight through everything, like literally everything, you know?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, there's always going to be more stories of fighters who fought on and had success after injuries and all that sort of stuff. That's part of the.
But he's a young lad, isn't it? But
exactly,
he's
the
not
young
that
lad.
Young. I don't think he's 23. He's not that young, you know.
No, in terms of his experience in the game as well, he didn't have much of an amateur career and all that stuff. You know what I mean? He's been a pro for what, 3-4 years now? How long has it been?
Yeah,
3.5, maybe 4 years. So
he's
again,
been fighting good competition, I think.
Yeah,
I think,
he needs to step up.
Before
in
this
terms
fight,
of,
there was no doubt, though, was there, that he was ready or anything? There was like,
yeah, no.
he was ready.
We all thought that this was a 50-50 fight. Yeah, in terms of what we thought Dubois would bring to the table, and obviously he tried, but he couldn't, put it together fully, right?
I'm just very disappointed.
No, and that's fair. You're more than entitled to be. I was surprised by the outcome as well. I'm not gonna lie.
But he was the future, innit? He was the future. Like,
He still
what
is.
else have we got now?
One defeat.
Oh, I don't know.
One defeat.
It's not about defeat. It's not about defeat. A defeat's fine. You know, it's not a problem. Defeat's fine. It could be a close fight and you could have lost. You know, you could have just shaded it with the jabs. It was not a problem. Keep coming. You've got a lot to learn now, and you did well because you still landed clean shots. So it's not even a problem losing. But the way he just sat down, Jesus. I mean, I don't know. I just can't. I was disappointed. He was the future. Who else have we got? Joyce. How old is Joyce? He's
35.
older than Joshua and Fury.
Yeah, he's older. He's the oldest.
Oh God.
But again,
So
like I said,
we got then?
with Dubois, like I said, in terms of obviously calling him a coward is a bit extreme. For me, I wouldn't call the guy a coward. He went in there, he gave it a go. Yes,
it was a cowardly move. He's not a coward, but it was a cowardly move.
Yeah, even that, I wouldn't call it a cowardly move for me personally, because we don't know. Everyone's got a different level of, punishment they can take and how far they're willing to go. That's the reality.
Then he has to quit though.
What do you mean?
If he's not willing to go through that, then how's he gonna make it in boxing and heavyweight boxing?
But listen, this is the thing. We don't know what was going through his head or what he felt or whatnot. Forget the injury for a second. Just in general, we don't know where he was at that point, right? So obviously, yeah, we can compare him to Malignaggi or Brook or whoever else in it. They were all at world level when that happened, obviously, as well. Yeah, so this happened at this level for him before he's gone to any, world level fights. This was his world title fight at this point, right? This was his biggest moment of his career. Same thing with Joyce, obviously. Yeah, what's happened with him has happened. For me, it's about the rebuild now. Yeah. Yes, he might not be what we thought he was going to be then, but we'll see. Yeah. We have to give the guy a chance. Like I said, 22, 23-year-old. He's got plenty of time on his side. And we'll have to see where he goes from here. It's about the rebuild. You should never have signed a 5-year contract with Frank Warren. Frank Warren ain't the guy for him. I mean, he needs to be on the other side with Eddie Hearn or with someone else who can actually, build him in terms of a, star power type thing. With Frank Warren.
I don't agree with that though, because look how big of a star he's become under Frank and BT.
No,
so
he would be big with the matchroom side, I think.
Arguably.
No, I don't think it's arguable. I think it is just one of those things. Think about it now. Look, I'll give you an example.
But what stars have Matchroom and Sky got besides Joshua? Like,
no, but he's a superstar. That's a different thing. Yeah.
Joshua could be a superstar with anyone though.
Say again?
I think Joshua could have been a superstar at BT too.
Yeah, but of course. But what I'm saying is he's one guy in it. Yeah. He specifically had all the hype behind him, the British gold medalist, and he went and did the jobs that he did, Klitschko fight, everything that put him over the top even more, yeah. And what he's going to do since, obviously coming back from defeat, winning the the titles back and everything, he's had a good story, Fury's also had a good story. It's about especially in our country, we like the comeback story and the underdog and all that business. Yeah. So if they do it right, then he can be obviously a big name. And I think, look, again, he's 23. For fuck's sake, he's a
But
young
he's a
lad.
big name for 23, though. I don't know any other young heavyweight
I'm
who's
not
at
saying that.
his
What I'm saying is,
stature.
in terms of the rebuild, what I'm saying is now moving forward, within 2 or 3 years, this guy could be fighting for world titles again. Yeah. He could be in that mix. Doesn't mean he's going to be the best guy in the country. It just means he's going to be in that mix. You know what I mean? I definitely think he's got potential. And again, it could be a matter of changing trainers and learning different things, not being so basic, you know? And sometimes for these fighters who have so much hype behind them, a loss is what they need to make them a better fighter.
That's true. That's a good point. I mean?
So there's that side. There's a number of fighters that you look back on and say that it's best they lost when they lost and they learn from it. Yeah. And then they came back. It's always part of the story. So hopefully for Dubois, the main thing is, first of all, for any fighter, we don't want to see anyone come out with a bad injury or some sort of, crazy, thing that puts them out of the ring. Yeah, we want to see them come back and get on with it. So hopefully, as long as this injury isn't anything major, which from what they're saying it's not, it's a broken orbital bone, which is serious, but that can have surgery done.
I'm just gonna wait till we got it 100% confirmed.
They've said it on articles everywhere online today.
But
I think you've confirmed it. Frank Warren's Queensbury have actually come out and said it. That he has got a broken orbital bone. It's not just people thinking. So he has,
I just don't know if that's true yet. We'll see.
How are you gonna find
out? I bet he'll be recovering. Because I've seen people have the same the look of it. It looks quite similar to a lot of other fighters.
Yeah,
who end up just having a massive swollen eye.
Yeah, on the face of it, yeah, I get you. I mean, it didn't look the same way.
Because they said it straight away. Well, my point is that they said this exact straight away, like the nerve pain and all that, and the broken orbital. It was said straight away, and then it was just confirmed to this. I'm just like, you know what? Okay, let's just wait and see. But I mean, if it is, obviously, it's not a good thing. Hopefully, he comes back, because we do need a future heavyweight star, because he was the future. He was like, I legit thought he could. That's why I was so disappointed. I thought he would be like the future. Joshua and Fury are done soon, and we have literally nothing coming up. There's nothing. Just think about it. There's absolutely nothing. Tony Yoka fought, right?
Yeah, watch his fight.
He looked half decent. So it's like that was another hope, and he just like, oh man, it's a bit depressing. I don't know if I want Joshua and Fury to fight now. Hopefully they fight 4 times then. Just keep him going for a couple of years.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean, but hopefully, like I said, he's a young lad. Let's see the comeback story now and see what he does. He might be.
Yeah, I know I'm being a bit harsh, but it's
fair enough. It's fresh. It's fresh. You know what I mean? So we've got an opinion. For me, I'd rather not pile it on the guy at the minute. I'd rather say, look, yes, there was quitting him. He's shown that, and they always say once you quit, after that it becomes easier to quit again. Yeah. The first time's always the hardest, so he's always going to have that doubt over him now. And for me, that brings interest to him, because we know he's vulnerable now. You know what I mean? We know that he's vulnerable. You can get to him. That's what made people more sort of endearing towards like a Joshua, for example. When he got, I know they made it a much bigger thing than it was. And Dylan White hit him in round 2. That thing, Joshua was he's all over the place. Blah. I don't think it was as bad as people actually spoke about in that time. Yes, he wobbled, but he recovered straight away. You know what I mean? People talk about it so much, but this guy's actually, he's been stopped. Whether it's a major injury or not, we don't know, like you said. But they're saying it's this, that, whatever. It's about him coming back now and showing us what he's made of. And I think with someone like him, I don't think he knows how to do anything else. Obviously, I don't know the guy personally. I don't know outside the ring. You can't retire tomorrow. What's he going to do? All he's known really is boxing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, he's not made enough money. I'm assuming he's not made enough money to sit on his money and retire. So as long as again the injuries aren't bad and whatnot, and it's not going to keep him at the ring, then he needs to come back and figure out how to become better, to learn. Again, he needs learning fights. He needs to just become a better boxer, not just power punches and basic 1-2. He needs to find a different level to his game. And a lot of fighters took losses and then they did that, didn't they? They made changes, adjustments, and they came back. And hopefully, like I said, this will be a wake-up call for Dubois, and hopefully, bring him on a few levels as well. But we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I agree. In terms of, I'm just interested to see what his relationship is going to be like, with his trainer and everything going forward. Because a lot of times, I think that even though they hear people on the outside saying it, I think inside they don't really confront each other's truth, especially, when you have a young talent and you get signed and you're just a trainer and you go along with it. I think it could maybe be a thing where you know, because if that's my fight, I'm being brutally honest. Like I'm straight saying like, listen, you know, you have to be able to go through and withstand this type of pain because this is boxing. You have to be ready mentally. You have to be ready. Fighters have that mentality that they're literally willing to die in the ring. Like, so when they get hit on the eye, it's not they're not thinking about. Every single fighter's come out and said it. So fuck what I say. A million fighters come out and said it. They said you have to carry me out of the ring. You have to either kill me or carry me out of the ring.
With that statement, though, yeah.
But no one's gonna die. But it's not about dying. It's just about knowing you're gonna give it your all. No one's
it's
really
about
want to die.
100%.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Of course.
It's about not even thinking or willing to submit. The even thought of submission does not enter your mind in that ring. Even at your lowest stage in the ring, you keep thinking of victory. You keep thinking of strategy. That's no matter what, right? So, yeah, that's what I wanted to say that. So I'm interested to see basically what his trainer is going to be like. I think they should just be honest with each other, and by that way, being honest with each other, you can get over it. You know, don't deny it, because denial does not lead to.
Yeah, they need to work on it. They need to confront it and move forward.
As we've seen with Mr. Deontay Wilder, denial doesn't, bode well for you.
With this though, I don't think there is anything that they can deny. He got hit, and it is what it is now. And I think,
no, honestly, I could imagine his trainer just being like, "All right, Dan, don't worry about it, mate. You come back better." You know, like just one of them. And then when they train, like you still have to get in his head and say, "Listen, I would get some big ass sparring partners and then pepper the guy with a jab all the next 4 months. Like, put him under pressure. Like, are you gonna withstand it? You need to be ready. You can't play about in the ring. Like, if you're not ready for it, if you're not gonna go through hell, just pack your bags and go home. You know what I mean?
Listen, I think he'll learn from it. I'm not saying I don't know what's happening in the future in terms of what level he reaches, but I think he'll learn from it and he'll come back. You know what I mean?
If they confront it the right way, then I agree.
I think they will. He seems like a level-headed, good lad. You know what I mean? And with his trainer, he's his manager as well. So I don't like the whole trainer being a manager. I don't like this whole thing. But anyway, forget that.
I don't think that's a bad. I don't think that's.
I don't know. Sometimes I just think it's a bit, a bit booky. But whatever.
But if you
forget the business side of it. We just want
just quickly, So say you train the fighter and you come through and you know what he's like in the gym. You know what he's like sparring these type of fighters. You know what he's having a bit difficulty with. That way, you can choose with the promoter which fights he have. It's just more. It's just a clearer.
There are a lot of big name fighters who are trained and managed by the same person. Isn't it? Tunde, Ajayi, Anthony Yard, all these boys.
Rob McCracken. Let's just say that.
So
we use Tunde as the best example, bro.
Yeah, he's a bit of a clown, but
his matchmaking's been awful though. Forget just being a clown. I think he's a cool guy, but in terms of matchmaking, that's not been a great job at all. It's been a horrible job, and anyone would say that.
Would you not say the same thing for both of them, Dubois and Joyce? Certainly Dubois and Yard, sorry.
I think Dubois has been way better. Way better.
A lot of the names that Yard fought, we didn't know from Adam, and that's the thing.
But Dubois was still in the fight.
Yeah.
Yard was never really in the fight.
Yeah, only had one round where he actually did damage. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think people talking about matchmaking before. I think Dubois was ready. I think it did catch him by surprise, Joyce's size, but I think he was ready for it. But I just think that it got a bit too much for him, and I think it's hard to say how the fight would have planned out because his bottle went, in my opinion, right. But
it is. Put the bottle thing aside and the whole quitting thing aside. Yeah, imagine
it's already looking like it before too. That's what I'm saying. There was a kind of signs of it. If it wasn't any signs of it, it was just the injury. I wouldn't say bottle it. But because his trainer said that, right? I thought, something's going on here, and then that happened, so it kind of makes sense.
Even put that aside, look at it this way: Dubois has been, in all his fights in his career so far, he's been the bigger, stronger guy, the harder hit to all this business, which is meant to be as a young prospect coming up against the opposition he's fought, right? You get in the ring against a guy who's taking all your shots and he keeps landing on you nonstop.
You need to be ready for that, though, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. So it's an experience thing.
He didn't look mentally ready for it,
and not knowing.
He didn't look mentally ready for it.
Not knowing how to sort of combat, literally how to combat that. So a lot of things went against him on the night. The guy's bigger, stronger.
But that's what the test was about. It's not just about a physical test or
it's mental as well. It's mental, physical, emotional.
That's what was the interesting. We needed answers, and we got answers, I guess. Not the right ones, but yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I wouldn't. I'm not gonna bash the guy too much.
Yeah, Joyce did well though. Let's give Joyce some credit.
Yeah, man. Listen, what am I saying? This is what I'm saying.
You did, yeah.
I said that I thought regardless of anything that Joyce is gonna get knocked out. I was adamant that the guy hits too hard and he's gonna land some big bombs and take him out.
One of the worst styles I've ever seen.
Yeah, but he's a very intriguing fighter to watch, Joe Joyce, because
He is intriguing.
He doesn't look like he does anything right at half the time, but he's still
there is a method to the madness.
So effective. I don't know if you noticed on at least 4 occasions, a man threw a hook and he missed and looked like he fall over. I'm not joking. He looks like, and he's so slow. Yeah. So even though he just won the biggest fight of his career, and it was a great performance in terms of what he actually ended up doing and how it ended, but you come out with more questions than answers. Thinking, how the fuck have you just done that, Where, yes, of course, a jab, excellent, but like I said, to me, it's a 50-50 between Dubois not actually knowing how to get out of the way and stopping it, and him just constantly landing it.
You know, just quickly on the jab, do you not think Dubois was doing all right with the jab at some point? Like, especially in the beginning, do you not think he was doing all right?
Oh, sorry, you're asking me if I thought he was doing all right?
Yeah.
There were moments where I thought he did okay, but for the majority of it, no, because literally, that's ultimately what led to the eye being damaged so much. The jab couldn't miss every round.
Yeah, defending it he did bad, but I thought he landed his own pretty well.
His own jab. Sorry, of course, his own jab he did well. I don't think he did bad. He landed plenty.
Defensively, well, I don't know what the hell he's playing.
That's the thing, and you can't just go out and be offensively so good and not have any defense because people start throwing with you. It's a problem. Innit? This is where someone like Amir Khan, for example, offensively brilliant, defensively he's always been caught. You know what I mean? You can't
offensively average.
Well, you got a point. He's always thrown a lot of punches and he's gone forward. You've got your own issues with him. That's
right. Let's move on from this topic. Should we talk about what's next for Joyce then?
Well, for Joyce, what is next? You tell me.
Well, what they're saying is Usyk, if the title gets vacant, and I think that's the most one-sided fight we're going to see in a long time.
For who?
Usyk, obviously. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I'm asking your opinion.
I think Joyce is just going to do nothing in the heavyweight division. That's why I'm just disappointed. I'm just like, I'm happy for him because he deserves it. Honestly, he does, He's a sick character, but he just does nothing. And if he was a young guy, no problem. I would have been a bit more optimistic. But he's going to do nothing. Trust me, the guy cannot be the top. Him and Dylan White would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be 50-50.
That's his level. And Dylan White is not world level.
Himself. Yeah.
Dylan White's not world. That's, there is no world level heavyweights. There's 2, that's it.
There's 2, yeah.
Arguably Usyk.
We need to see him in a few more fights in it, yeah.
Yeah, so, maybe it's Usyk against Joyce next. I would love to see that.
Yeah, Usyk wins that pretty easily, I think.
Aside from that, I'm not that interested in Joe Joyce's career moving forward, to be honest.
Yeah, it was just this fight, innit? And we all thought Dubois was going to do him, so, yeah.
That's it.
There's more interest in Dubois' comeback than there is in Joyce's moving forward, innit? That's literally how it is. But
that is true.
Yeah, I mean, look, of course, I'm going to watch Joyce's next fight as long as it's a decent fight, And if it is him versus Usyk, of course, we're going to tune in, but we're going to tune in for Usyk. But again, like I said, I don't know if Joyce actually won any fans last night in terms of he's not the best to watch, but it was an intriguing fight. That's the thing, innit?
I think he did win a lot of fans,
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of people now, because before that, you wouldn't even consider...
He won fans.
You wouldn't consider him to challenge any other heavyweights. Now, all of a sudden, talking about him against Usyk is even like people are interested in it. I wouldn't have thought that they would even be.
Even though in the ring, it's not really a competitive fight.
Yeah, I know, but I mean,
it's the question, it's a question about.
I think it could be sold as a competitive.
Yeah,
fight.
that's what I'm saying. So it's the whole question they can ask.
The boxing fans who know how to read a fight know that it's not close, but I think it could get sold as because of now he's a credible name. He's got credibility. I don't think Joe Joyce had credibility before this fight. And now you have to put respect on his name. And he's got it.
Well, fair play. He done the job on the night, innit? Either way, regardless of how anyone feels. He's done the job. He's come out with the titles. And he moves forward. So fair play to him. So, I mean, next thing for him is obviously a big fight in some way or form or shape. We don't know who's going to be or how it's going to happen. Yeah. And Dubois, he needs to figure out what he wants to do next and obviously make some sort of comeback, and we'll just have to keep an eye on him fight by fight and see where he goes next. We don't know that at the moment, do we? Anyway, so your boy Canelo Alvarez made an announcement a few weeks back. So he's fighting Callum Smith on December the 19th in Texas. So there will be some fans in attendance due to them allowing them back in Texas. Only a couple of thousands. I don't know how many it is, but that should give some sort of lively atmosphere. So after all the talk of, Smith is sitting out, he's going to miss only months of his career, he's not going to get a big fight, blah, blah, blah. Turns out he actually, got lucky and got the Canelo fight, the big fight, the golden ticket. Now, considering his career now, with Callum Smith, for example, in the last 2 years, September 2018, he won the final for the World Boxing Super Series against, a Finnish George Groves essentially after the shoulder injury. Then he fought Hassan Endam on the undercard of Joshua Ruiz 1, and then he fought John Ryder. Those are his last 3 fights, and now he's going to be out for 13 months and then taking on, the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, Saul Canelo Alvarez, who's also been out for 13 months as well. How do you potentially see that fight going? Is it competitive, or is it going to be just another demolition job by Canelo?
I think of all the super middleweights, this is arguably this and Saunders. I mean, well, who else is there? Plant, right? But when they were talking about Plant fight, I think this fight is more competitive. I think that I just think Callum Smith is a bit sturdier than Caleb Plant. Just style-wise, I think Caleb Plant against Callum Smith, maybe Plant would win. So it's just styles make fights. I just think that this is a very good fight. Just because of the styles, again, Smith is high and everything, if you can use it right, and he's got power behind it, enough power especially, and it's going to be a massive, massive size difference, The only thing interesting about this fight is the size. Again, like Usyk Chisora. I'm not comparing them anymore, but the only thing was interesting about that fight was the size, and if Usyk could, do what he had to do. And if these people, again, were the same size, it's not even a competitive fight. Smith, how good is Smith? You don't know how good Smith really is, but I know that he can turn it up enough, and Canelo has not problems, but he knows what he needs to do. But sometimes, like we've seen in the Kovalev fight, he kind of drags it a bit, and I don't know if Smith is going to be as mobile as Kovalev, but I think that would work better for him not being mobile, being sturdier and really fighting like he can fight. Just please, just if Callum Smith can just stop trying to be an inside fighter, just for one fight, please. Callum Smith, I know you're not listening, but if you are, please just don't be an inside fighter in this fight and try to, I don't know what he tries to do, just some stupid shit, Fight at long range. Obviously, you know what you need to do. I think he gets a bit carried away and then he just, goes away from the game plan. But obviously, I understand his point where he says, these are not the fights that I'm 100% switched on in. And he did fight really well against George Groves, to be honest, and he was really disciplined and he kept his distance really well, and his shot selection was really impressive. And so that's what gives me a bit of excitement, and yeah, like exactly, is it not funny how we said this about everyone was taking the piss out for waiting and wasting his career, and then boom, 2 weeks after it's announced, there we go, So it's a great fight. Do you think this fight is the best that he could have fought at 168?
I think it's probably the most, throw David Benavidez out because he's not a champion at the moment, I think it's the most action fight we could ask for in terms of when you look at the other champions, right? When you look at Callum Smith, Caleb Plant, and Billy Joe Saunders, the guy that's going to stand and trade with him is more likely to be Callum Smith. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think from that perspective, then yeah, I think it's a great fight for us to watch in terms of action, right? And knowing that there's going to be big shots landing and that intrigue. Obviously, Caleb Plant. I think Caleb Plant's excellent. I think he's a great fighter. I think he's got a very good style. That would be obviously more of a chess match. And Billy Joe Saunders, again, is going to be movement. We know he's going to move a lot and make things awkward for Canelo and try and keep distance and whatnot. He's not going to stand and trade with Canelo, Whereas Callum Smith, I'm not saying he will, but you get the feeling out of those three, this is the guy that's going to go, yeah, come on then, let's go, yeah. The man's the same height as Alexander Usyk.
Fighter, innit?
Yeah, exactly. He's 6'3", he's massive, he's got huge size advantage, not only in height, weight, reach, everything. But for me, I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with this as well. I know styles make fights and every fight is different, but the last fight he fought was a small guy as well, yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what sort of approach Canelo takes. We saw what John Ryder did. Obviously, Canelo's levels above John Ryder, no disrespect to John Ryder. How do you think Canelo's going to approach the fight? Obviously, it depends on what Callum Smith does, but when you see a big body like that, do you think he's going to attack the body?
Yeah, I think we're going to see. Canelo has ever since the Lara fight, Trout fight, Lara fight mostly. He's really worked on his, aggressive style where he's, moving his head and coming forward. And I felt like against Kovalev, he reached that style. He'd reached a high level of that style offensively. Like I have a theory that I think that Canelo he felt a bit heavy at 175, and he felt a bit slow and sluggish. That's just my opinion. Yeah, I have no merit based on this. I just think so because he wasn't letting his shots go like he usually does. Like I've seen most of his career, and his explosiveness is quite telling. And you can know when he's done throws. And I felt like he was, because Kovalev's shots wasn't Kovalev of prime Kovalev, where they were really stinging. So I thought, why is he parrying and rolling and blocking and slipping and pulling away so much without countering? When he started countering at like round 7 or something, you know what I mean? It was so weird. Anyway, so I think he's gonna have that type of style, and everyone knows, Smith knows this, and most like we know this. He needs to have a strong ass jab, and he needs to be careful of stepping forward and committing, because if you guess wrong, and you are going to guess wrong because Canelo's going to make you guess wrong, and you step forward and you commit that reach and you kill that distance that you've created and you need to keep having, then, you know, it could be big trouble for Callum Smith. So I see this Canelo being aggressive coming forward. It depends on what type of fight, like you said, Callum Smith starts off fighting. If you can use his reach really well, you know, it's going to be a really, really interesting fight. The thing is, he has to be aggressive and strong with the reach. So he has to be careful, like I just said, of stepping in. So if he finds the right balance of like stepping a bit backwards, but keeping a strong ass jab and straight punches and not, you know, just, and maybe his uppercut, keep threatening with that uppercut. So Canelo has so much to think about walking in. You know, you could keep him busy enough and pepper him enough. It could make a really interesting fight, but I'm thinking of this as like Callum Smith like doing everything perfectly when I've seen this guy be absolutely shit. So really, I think Canelo's gonna wash him. But I want this Callum Smith to turn up, and I want to be really intrigued. And I'm probably gonna get sold during the week. And you know, if they keep talking about this type of game plan, and Joe Gallagher obviously he's aware of it, but if they really keep talking about it, how he's gonna use his reach, because like we said in the John Ryder fight, his whole thing was, you know, we've seen him drop levels. We have seen it, and I think the Groves fight is where we kind of measure it off so far. We don't know how good Groves is, so we don't even know if that's a fair thing to measure off. But if Callum Smith can show levels, a lot better than his last fight with John Ryder, who is kind of similar to Canelo, but I do think he's a bit faster with his feet, and I think that caused Callum Smith more issues. But still, same type of aggression and coming over the top, maybe a bit more wilder punches, but definitely smart fighter, John Ryder, aggressively. And we saw Callum Smith, I mean, he was awful. I definitely think he lost that fight. So I'm wishful thinking. I want Callum Smith to do everything, like I said, and I'm pretty sure he knows that's what he needs to do. But is he good enough to do that against Canelo on the biggest stage? That's what we're going to see. So in terms of style, I think, yeah, basically Canelo's aggressive and Callum Smith is going to try to plant his feet and, you know, dictate the distance, and we'll see what happens. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the same page as you when it comes to that. I think Callum Smith's best bet against a fighter like Canelo has shown so many different ways of, you know, sort of breaking people down now over the last 5 years. The guy's come on so much. Every fight, you know, Canelo just, you see him learning and sort of, you know, picking up on things that people do and knowing how to use them against him and whatnot. I know the Kovalev performance wasn't, you know, anything sensational, but he got a, you know, very, very good knockout. And he hurt him clearly. So he's got power. He can put it together, and he can make it, you know, he can make things count when called upon. I think with Canelo and Smith, I think Smith at some point, I don't think he's the most poised fighter. Yeah, he might be able to follow a game plan for a certain amount of time. Then eventually, once it sort of gets the nitty gritty and they start trading, I think he's gonna. I'm not saying Canelo will just land a big punch and knock him out like that, but I think it's going to be I think Canelo will just figure him out, and I don't think Smith has got enough experience with top level fighters, and I don't think he's got enough just know-how. Yes, he's very, very good. You don't become a world champion without being good. But like you said, pardon me, we don't know what George Groves that was in the ring. Obviously, it's like his last fight and he came off a shoulder injury, whatever. But you fight who's in front of you. So fair play to him. But I think Canelo's going to stop him. Not early, potentially late, same as Kovalev. But I just feel like Canelo's got way too much for this guy, man. I think, you know, his come forward pressure is so, like, mentally, it's going to, you know, affect Callum Smith as well. I do think what's going to happen is he'll knock him out and then Callum Smith will move to 175, because then after that, there's no point in killing yourself to make the weight. You've had the biggest fight you could have out there. You know, and then he's not.
Is he killing himself though?
Well, this is what they've always said. Oh, you know, he makes it well and all this sort of stuff, and he can fight at 168, blah blah blah. But the reality is, Joe Gallagher said in other interviews as well that, you know, he is going to move to 175 after, you know, a big fight at 168, or you know, he's said that for years. So
yeah, but go on.
Sorry, go on.
I get that, but they never knew Canelo would be in this weight class. It wasn't like Canelo had been here for a couple of years.
No, of course they were waiting for Canelo.
I don't think there was though. I don't think there was any idea of Canelo being at 168 because he already made so much money.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said they weren't?
They weren't waiting for him. Obviously not. Yeah.
So why would they stay in here then? I think he can still make it. Honestly, I think he's all right at it. Because he said, I've heard him say multiple times, like, if I can't make a weight, I'm not gonna. If I can't perform my best level at a weight, but we don't know right now if he's all right at the weight, because maybe he has been struggling the last year.
Bear in mind, the guy's 30 years old now. Yeah. He's been 168 from debut. The big lad. He's 6'3", the same size. Which is obviously everyone's different. Me and you could be the same height. Doesn't mean we got the same body type. Yeah, fair. I get that, but I do think he's not maybe killing himself to the extent of some other fighters that we know who've killed themselves to make weight classes. It's not like Kell Brook at 147 and all that business. But I do think he's struggling. And think about it now, from a narrative point of view. If you lose to Canelo now, you made, you know, a big payday. Why not move up to 175 now? That's the next challenge, isn't it? Move up now. You'll be a lot more comfortable at the weight, and you build from there. He's not going to want to start building again at 168 after all these years. And he's always been promised, you know, big fight, 168, this, that, blah, blah, you know? So I think realistically, after this fight, after he loses, he'll move up. But either way, look, it's a big fight to finish off the year, isn't it? Let's be honest. So happy days, and I'm glad to see him getting the fight, you know. He's been waiting a long time for a big fight, so fingers crossed, everything, you know, does fall into place, and there's no issues with COVID and all this business, and they get in the ring on December 19th. So I think for Callum Smith, it's worked out pretty well, all things considered, and hopefully we get a great fight. I'm just hoping for a very, very good fight, whether it's an interesting boxing match or it ends up being a war. Either way, I just want to see Canelo back in the ring. Moving forward, so last week I put out a poll on Twitter and Instagram, which you're aware of, regarding Anthony Joshua's resume and Tyson Fury's resume. On my Instagram, it was lopsided for some reason. It was like 79% thought Fury had a better resume and 21% thought Joshua, but very few people voted, and they weren't boxing people. On Twitter, it was very interesting because I got Rob Tebbett of Boxing Social retweeted it, and a few other people that I know retweeted it, and I got about 270 votes, I believe. So there's a lot of votes. So thank you to everyone who voted, if you are listening to the podcast by any chance. So the final result on the poll for who had the better resume was, according to Twitter, Joshua 53%, Fury 47%. Now, my argument was, I believe Joshua has a better resume overall in terms of his consistency of opponents faced. I've always said this, that Fury has the two historical wins. You got the two historical monumental wins, and you can't take that away from him. And they will always obviously be there. He beat Vladimir Klitschko in Germany after however many years he was reigning for, 10 plus years. And he became, you know, the man who sort of opened up the heavyweight division. Without that win, we don't know how the next 2 or 3 years would have gone with Klitschko fighting, you know, the way he was. And then you've got the big win against Deontay Wilder, regardless again of how good or bad we think Deontay Wilder is. He was that was his 11th defense against Tyson Fury, which obviously he lost. But my point is, he had 10 defenses, 5 years he'd been reigning for. So again, Tyson Fury has those away big victories that make his resume stand out, of course. But for me, it's what's in between. Yes, I understand the depression and all this business. That's fine. But that's Tyson Fury's issue. It's not Anthony Joshua's issue or anyone else's issue. Tyson Fury's problems were his own. He's overcome them. He's come back. Amazing story. But his last 10 fights compared to the 10 fights Joshua's had, for me, in terms of consistency, the time frame which he's faced them and all that. Other people argued the context of timing of when Fury fought Klitschko and you know, this, that, and the other. Yes, it was a year and a half apart from when he fought Klitschko and when Joshua fought Klitschko. And there's multiple arguments that can be had there. But for me, I just felt that Joshua has the more consistent, better resume in terms of guys in the top 10, top 15 who were obviously good competitors. Joseph Parker, Andrew Ruiz, all these boys. So my pick was Joshua. What do you think on the resume front?
So you had Joshua. I think it's a matter of, you know, quality over quantity. And I think it is what it is. It's Fury with the better wins and Joshua with the more fighters, you know. So I think, you know, with the whole resume thing, I'm never really a big fan of doing that up until, you know, if their fighters' careers are done and everything, and you can kind of assess it a bit better, in my opinion. I think right now, I think because of those years that Fury had off, you know, we don't know what would have happened after that, what run we would have been on. So that's a lot of years cut out. And you know, yeah, AJ's done well, but you know, I think that they both had that enough experience, to be honest, to, you know, give each other a really great fight. And I think this next fight for Josh is going to be really good for him if he gets some decent rounds and gets hit a bit, and, you know, just feels a bit of pressure and calms down, and because he needs some rounds definitely. But I don't know. I don't know. Tyson Fury maybe, Joshua. I don't really know, to be honest, because I can see both arguments. So I'm in the middle. I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna have a third vote, 50-50.
Fair enough. I mean, there's arguments for both, but like you said, until their career's over, we can't really, you know, give a pinpoint, you know, accurate comment on who had a better career and who had a better resume. I was just generally putting it out there to see what people say and see what people think. I just went with Joshua purely based on just the consistency of the names he fought, whereas, of course, 100% Fury's got the much bigger victories, and they're on away soil, and they can't really be replicated right now. But either way, yeah, I think you touched on the Pulev fight. I was going to ask you actually. Obviously, look, Joshua's come out and said, I'm going to go and blitz him. I'm going to just, you know, annihilate him. Do you think Joshua's going to get hit in that fight?
Yeah, I think Joshua's gonna get hit in every fight.
And
Like,
hurt?
he's gonna get hit. I don't know. You know, if you know, closer to the fight, I think when we have more footage, just a bit more training footage and stuff like that. But I mean, I don't know. Has Pulev even got any power really?
I don't think he has.
So
I think he's a decent puncher. I
don't.
don't think he's anything massive, but if he lands right,
I
he
mean,
lands right.
anyone is heavyweight boxing, innit?
Exactly.
So
Pulev fights, it's not the most intriguing fight out there anyway. It's 3 years too late. It's supposed to happen 3 years ago, isn't it? So, and even then, I don't know how much people really care too much about that. But anyway, let's move on to this week's big fight. This coming week. Errol Spence returns to the ring after 14 months and that terrible car crash to take on Danny Garcia for the Unified Welterweight Championship. Chat to me. Who you picking and why?
well, I think the favorite is obviously Errol Spence, and I think he is the favorite for a lot of reasons. Looking away from the car crash, technically, Danny Garcia is notoriously known for his bad feet, and I think that's what's gonna, depending on what fight Spence fights, because if Spence uses his attributes, then I think he can make it a really easy fight. I think I need to see him face to face. I don't know what the height difference is again, because you know, when I think about fights, sometimes I forget there's a major height difference. And in a Joe Joyce and Dubois fight, I never even envisioned the fight going in that direction, right? You know, in terms of Dubois being that much under pressure by his size. So, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be around the same size. I think I've seen him in the ring together. So I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Spence is a bit taller. He's the bigger guy, naturally. So
Yeah.
I think he needs to use his attributes, and, you know, showing the Garcia fight that what he can do. He just shouldn't. This is not going to be like Porter, because Danny Garcia hasn't got the Porter energy. But I still think that Spence needs to make an easy fight and, you know, pick up the pace when he needs to, and just stay switched on. Really, I think he can make an easy fight for himself. You know, if he uses his attributes, like I said, his best attributes, aside from straight punches in this fight, I think are obviously his skills. I think he's got, but I don't know, because I think Danny Garcia's got high boxing IQ, you know, so I don't really know that, because Spence gets his a lot. So Spence needs to be on the game, boxing. And if he's not, it could be a really hard night. I don't know. Danny Garcia, you know, I don't think he's got power to maybe like really knock him out. You know, he's got decent power, 147, but, you know, just forgetting a car crash again, I think Spence needs to just fight a smart fight. You know, he's got all the tools to make it a pretty easy fight, and it'll still be entertaining, you know, because he's naturally entertaining fighter and he's got high punch output. But he needs to make this not Mikey Garcia-ish fight, but something in that way. I'm pretty sure that Garcia's got a longer reach, well, I think so, than Mikey Garcia. So I don't know if he can maybe make it as easy, but someone like that, if he just moves his feet a lot and peppers him and basically does what the real champ at 147, Keith Thurman, did. Follow Keith Thurman's blueprint. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, Errol Spence has the attributes to make it an easy fight against someone sort of slow and plodding like Danny Garcia, even though Garcia is very capable and obviously he had a great run at 140 as well. You know, he's a very good fighter in his own right, and on his day he can, you know, pull out a good performance. I don't think Garcia is coming there to lose; he's coming to win, and he's going to give it a go. I just feel like he hasn't got the same punch output. I don't know if you remember the Porter fight. It wasn't that was a close fight. It could have gone either way for me. You know,
I thought you won.
Who, Danny Garcia?
Yeah,
exactly. He had the cleaner punches and he sort of, you know, I think he boxed better than Porter. Porter was trying to box with him a lot more. You know, that's the thing with Porter. You don't know, as it's gone on, he's tried to box more, hasn't he? He's trying to jab more. Same thing that he did in the last fight against Errol Spence. But sorry, yeah, forget Porter. I think Errol Spence, like you said, he's got the attributes to make it an easy fight. I think at points they are going to obviously stand and trade. Garcia is, you know, notorious for that no look left hook, so that might come into play. But I think Spence is clever enough, he's big enough, he's strong enough to take the punch. You know, Keith took it. I'm sure Spence can take it as well. In terms of level of fight that this is, do you think this is a good level of fight for him to take straight after the Porter fight? Do you think it's a similar sort of level?
I don't think it's a good fight to take after the car crash. You know what I mean? But I think, you know, with levels, I think for him, you know, listening to the way he's talking about life and everything, and, you know, I think he needs to be motivated to a certain level and he needs to have a fear factor. I think he's made, you know, when you make so much money and every fight's a bit easy for you, think about it, he's just cruising in it. I think he needs this, but with the level, I think it's a really good fight. I think it's a really good fight. You know, I think it's a great fight. It's what other fight could have been better. I don't want to see Thurman look like he did against Pacquiao, not 100%. You know, I want to see. I think Garcia's ready. The way Garcia's talking, you know, he's like, it's their second chance. He's saying
unified title as well. Yeah, big fight.
I'm really excited. Really excited.
Yeah, big opportunity.
Gonna be fans, right?
Yeah, there'll be fans there as well. Yeah,
that's great. I just need fans back in boxing. Yesterday was shit.
Yeah.
Did you hear when the fight was starting? When it was just quiet, and then people's like, "Come on, Daniel, come on, Joyce." And stuff.
Yeah, it's not the same, innit? It's not the same.
This is awful.
Part of the fun
I can't take it. I
big
can't
crowds
take
in it. Yeah.
There needs to be crowd, and that's great. That's going to be sick.
Definitely. So next week we've got that fight, and then the week. So
what did you say? You're saying Spence, yeah?
I'm saying Spence. Yeah, I think Spence. I don't think it'll be. It can be an easy fight if he boxes. If not, then it becomes a tricky fight. But I feel like Spence is the favorite for a reason. You know?
So let's talk about. So let's add in now the car crash.
That's the thing now. His body, in the last 13, 14 months, how much will it have recovered from something like that, where the guy came flying at a car?
You know he says he's better now.
Listen, how many guys?
He says he's better. I know, but he wouldn't have took this fight if he didn't feel like.
Yeah, if he didn't feel like he had something, of course, yeah.
And he didn't break any bones, you know? Like, he didn't actually break any bones. That's factual. So maybe he just had a lot of other issues, you know? Like he said, he had hip pain and stuff like that, and bones and joints. But, you know, if he didn't have anything to his head, like any brain damage or anything, because there was no concussion or anything, like, imagine that.
He got very lucky, man.
That's crazy. So if he's all right, then I don't know. Like, I hope it's a fight like the Porter fight. I know Danny Garcia's not got the volume or energy, but I just got a feeling that he's gonna make it easy and just punch too much. Because Danny Garcia's a counter puncher, so if you keep him busy and you're not like Khan stepping in all the time, then you're not gonna get countered. It's gonna be hard for him to counter, especially with the reach.
Yeah. So who would you pick to win then, Spence? Yeah.
Do you think he can drop? We've never seen Garcia drop, have we?
No.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna.
He's got a good chin. He's got a very good chin.
He's got a solid chin.
Yeah.
Remember how he's eating Matisse punch and his thing fell out?
Yeah, exactly.
That was crazy. So I think Errol Spence cruising on points. But
that'll be the safe bet.
Is a lot better than people give him credit for.
Yeah, that's always been the case. He's always been underrated. He's not been appreciated.
But, you know, if I hadn't seen Spence versus Mikey, forget Mikey's size. If I hadn't seen
Spence
footwork in that fight,
yeah,
Yeah, I would probably
We wouldn't know
say
he's got
it's a
that
lot
side to his game in
closer.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and because he looks smooth. Never
Yeah, man.
mind the output, the smoothness. He looked elusive too with his defense. Like it was very, very impressive. Honestly, you watch that fight, you think, yeah, this guy's gonna box around. But then he fights like he did against Porter.
Yeah.
But then again, who looks good against Porter? Like
That's the
there's so
thing,
many
innit?
wrinkles
That's the
you're
thing.
thinking about, right? It's like four
Yeah.
different reasons for things. But I think Spence win probably points. Yeah, it's like safe bet. But obviously it's a safe bet because it's what's probably most likely going to happen, right?
Yeah. I think he'll be encouraged by his coach as well to go for a point win. Keep it simple. Use your boxing brain and show people what you can do. You know what I mean? Safety first kind of thing. Especially coming off the car crash.
If he gets lazy though, Danny Garcia is
That's
not
the thing,
the
innit?
fighter.
Yeah. Garcia's not a bomb by any means. You know, he's a very good fighter. He's there for a reason. So it'll be very, very interesting to see. Outside of this fight, have you got any other points or things that you want to talk about this week?
Who else is fighting? Billy Joe Saunders, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait for that fight.
Are you serious or joking?
No, I'm joking. But yeah, we'll see how he looks. Is what fight's on the week after? Is it AJ?
Yeah, he's week after. Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's gonna be good. So there's loads of fights coming up. But then we got Canelo first, and then AJ, right?
No, Canelo's the week after.
All right. Is it? Wow. So they're all on the spin.
Yeah, Triple G's the night before on the 18th. And then
Oh
Canelo's
yeah.
on the 19th.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be wicked. It's gonna be loads of fights.
Nice little run-in to finish off the year.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well.
So no the points.
Yeah, that's fine. We will wrap it up there, and then hopefully we will do a post-fight review next week, and then after Spence Garcia, and fingers crossed it's a good fight.
Imagine he just calls out Crawford.
Well, yeah, let's hope so. Or they're both going to sit there.
But then again, I don't know because I think I'd rather just have them sorted out proper. You know after the Crawford fight, I heard some podcasts where they were saying he needs to call out Spence. It's like why?
Why does it matter? This is not fight, man.
This is not Wilder bullshit where it's like I want Joshua, no more ducking, no more dodging. It's like there's never been any contact, bro. Like what are you talking about? You know what I mean? I'm not about the hype, but I would get excited because there's a crowd. You know what I mean? Like you know after Mayweather fights when they were always waiting for that Pacquiao question and the crowd would go mental. So if he calls out Crawford, I don't know, why not? Just do it. Just get hyped up and call him out. Fuck it.
Yeah,
actually, I'm getting excited. Yeah.
As a fan, it'd be nice to hear that, innit? I want to see the best versus the best, and those.
But you know he's not. He's gonna be like Pacquiao.
Yeah, they want the Pacquiao fight.
Crawford. Then if not, that's what he's gonna say. Fucking hell.
Well, let's see how it goes. But yeah, we'll leave it there for this week. And anyone who is tuning in, if you would like to ask any questions or want us to discuss anything on the podcast, you can email us at the Boxing Junkies Podcast at gmail.com, or you can leave a comment in the YouTube comment section, and we will hopefully discuss that next week on the podcast. Apart from that, thank you very much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.